So this dog was charged for me, and I'm still biking at about maybe 20 miles an hour. I was speeding on this bike now, and you've got the bushes and the shrubs and the roots and the ditch on this end, and you've got the lake. I don't swim very well. I don't. But in this panic state, this is going to be a disaster if I fall either way. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ngozi. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Click on that little notification bell so you never miss an upload. On the channel, we talk about a lot of topics that affect our community as families. So we cover a very wide spectrum of topics. Today, I'm talking about dogs. I personally have been bitten by dogs, okay? And I had to go to hospital and all of that. I'll get into the story in a minute. But I do have a genuine fear of dogs. And where I live, where I go walking, where we go running, there are a lot of dogs. And I'll tell you a few of my experiences. But first, listen to this.
The American XL bully dog is a danger to our communities, particularly our children. I share the nation's horror at the recent videos we've all seen. Yesterday, we saw another suspected XL bully dog attack, which has tragically led to a fatality.
This obviously happened last week in the UK, and it was off the back of an attack that was seen in public by an XL bully dog. Now, this dog just, for some reason, was not on a leash and didn't have a muzzle at all. And it is known as a dangerous breed, and yet it was running through the streets and it tore away at a child and then started attacking another man who eventually fell to the floor. And that's the thing, once you fall into the floor, the attack gets really vicious. So I'm going to show you a clip. If you're quite sensitive to some of these things, then of course you can skip ahead, but I'll show you what it looked like. People were on a bus, you know, using their phones to record and really screaming and, you know, calling out for some sort of intervention, because when these dogs are on it, they're on it. Okay, so have a look at this. Now, of course, this video has been seen, you know, all around the UK. It's gone viral, and it's just one of many incidents. Not every incident is captured on camera, yes? But this is horrific. It is horrific. Now, there is a statistics in the UK that in the last 2 years, by this particular dog breed, 9 people have died, and that included 3 children in the UK alone. Here's another statistic for you.
Well, so the number of attacks that have happened by this XL bully means that British people are 270 times more likely to be killed by American bullies than by any other dog.
Now remember, we're only speaking about this particular breed. There are pit bulls, there are hounds, there are other deaths. I don't know if you've watched Botched, but it's a reality series program where 2 doctors, Dr. Nassif, Dr. Dubrow, perform plastic surgery on patients. And a number of those patients would be actual dog owners who've had a dog ripped off a nose, ripped off a lip, and so on. And they're never the same. So I understand now that my fear of dogs is not just in my head. I've always known that these dogs are dangerous, and we have individuals suggesting that there are some dogs that are not dangerous breeds. Some of them are not dangerous breeds. Well, I don't know that. We had normal dogs where I come from, and this is me going into my story. We had normal dogs, and you know, on one afternoon when my parents had gone out and I was home alone, I was playing around with the dogs as you do. I can't quite say what I was doing, to be honest, but sort of playing with a dog as you do, and just out of the blue it just bit my finger and, you know, got into a bad mood, and then just bounded off. Now, I was so afraid by this dog attack, and you know, I have explained a little bit about my upbringing. We're not exactly cozy with our parents, and so when you live in a household where discipline, what you call discipline, is such that you beat your kids all the time and pound them around and hurt them, in the name of discipline. You live in fear. And when that had happened, I didn't think I could tell my mom or tell my dad what had happened. And this was serious because of rabies, yes? So that evening, we happened to be going to fellowship. And at this fellowship, I knew that there was a doctor there who, was part of the fellowship. And I thought to myself, when I get there, I will talk to this doctor and say, I've been bitten, will I be okay? I was that afraid to not tell my parents, risking the fact that I could have rabies, but the fear was more serious than rabies. You see what I mean? So that's another story for another day on how you raise your kids in fear. So I went to the doctor after the fellowship and I said to him, I've been bitten by a dog. During that time, my parents were saying hello, hi to people at the end of the fellowship. And he said, what? And I said, I was bitten by a dog, our dog. Am I going to be okay? And he said, what? And he called my parents. I was mortified. I thought, I'm in it. He calls my parents and he says to them, your daughter is saying she was bitten by a dog. And they look at me and they're like, what, when, where, how, who, what happened? We don't know. And he said, I need to be brought to the hospital immediately. And I had to have 21 injections on my stomach. It wasn't given to me all at once. It was over a period of time. So I'd come and then they'll fold my belly and stick a needle in. This was quite traumatizing for me. And in our area as well where we lived, we used to have to fetch water on our heads. So you'd, go a distance, fetch water, pop it up on your head and come all the way back home. But through some of the roads that we would take to head off to the stream or to wherever there was running water, we had neighbors who had crazy dogs, and you'd see when you're walking through, they'd be scraping the bottom of the gate, trying, and you could see that they've been burrowing for some time and they're going crazy behind those gates. It put a lot of fear on the inside of me. So when I came to the United Kingdom, I thought, oh, well, that was Africa. You don't want to bring that here. Dogs are trained, dogs are safe, they go to the vet and, they're pets. I walk past a lot of dog walkers and they'll say, oh, he's harmless, she's harmless. Oh, she's just a big baby, she's only 2 months old, and so on and so forth. But still, I would be so afraid, take this animal away from me, or I would give a really wide berth when walking around a person who has a dog with them. The other thing I find is that there are some dog walkers, not all dog walkers, some dog walkers are very inconsiderate. You'd be going along your way, enjoying your walk in the sun, and there they are in the distance. It says it quite clearly on the signs that dogs should be on leads. And their dog will come bounding towards you as if, you're friends. And they'll be smiling along and saying, oh, he's harmless, she's harmless. And your dog is jumping up on me. You have to respect my space. I don't care if your dog is harmless. I don't know what breed your dog is. I don't spend my whole time in my house going through dog breeds and trying to identify which one is safe and which one isn't. I have trauma in my life and you have to be respectful of that. You can have use of the park. I also get to have use of the park. I respect you. You respect me. But I find it really, really obnoxious that they let their dogs bound towards you and they smile like, ha ha ha, don't you like my dog? And I'm thinking, I don't know, I don't like your dog. I don't want a dog on me. I have no issue with pets. And that being said, I absolutely love little puppies. I really do. Those really pretty ones. I love them. Do I have one? No. I think it's a bit of work and I don't have the time. But yes, I have that situation happen quite a bit when going walking. Now you say, but you've never really been attacked before in the UK. Yes, I was once upon a time. I went biking and I went past a lake. I usually take this route on a regular basis. It's beautiful, it's calming, it's lovely. And sometimes you get some fishermen along the side trying to, catch a fish or two and having a lovely time with the running water. And so you've got this little path, you've got the lake on one side, quite steep, and on the other side, it's like a ditch, bushes and shrubs and tree roots, and it's all bad. Like you don't want to fall in there, you'll get hurt. So you've just got this path. And I was biking along and it was just me and this dude in the path. He was busy fixing his fish line and his dog just lost it. started barking and charging after me, and I kept biking. I thought to myself, stay on the bike. I thanked God for keeping me on the bike, because you fall down and that's it. It's going to be vicious. So this dog was charged for me, and I'm still biking at about maybe 20 miles an hour. I was speeding on this bike now, and you've got the bushes and the shrubs and the roots and the ditch on this end, and you've got the lake. I don't swim very well. I don't. But in this panic state, this is going to be a disaster if I fall either way. And I could hear this man screaming for life. He threw his stuff and he's like calling the name of this dog, and you knew he had lost control. And he couldn't get his dog to respect his voice, couldn't get this dog to respect the instruction. And for some reason, after biking, and if you think about it, for about 40 seconds, that is a long time to be speeding away from an animal. As short as it was, it felt like a lifetime. 40 seconds. I rode, and this dog finally backed off. And you know, during this time, the dog was right by my foot, barking and trying. But I guess with the speed of the bike and the constant steadiness, the dog couldn't really do anything because I was on the move. And I don't even know how I did that. You know, it's like life and death. I was on the move, and this dog finally just backed off and started galloping all the way back to its owner. I rode a little bit longer and I got off my bike. My heart was pounding out of my chest. My earlobes were pounding. My feet were throbbing. I was confused. I was out of breath. My life flashed before me. I knew what was going to happen if I fell off that bike. That animal was not on a leash. Now listen to what this lady has to say about leashes.
But I think, look, this is a combination of a dog which has a violent tendency and owners who are clearly irresponsible individuals who don't know how to deal with a dog which has violent tendencies. And if you look at that video, and I watched it all, it's horrific to watch. What concerns me is this is a public place with children around, and this dog is not even on a lead, forget being muzzled. Because if you do have a breed of a dog which is considered to be dangerous and you're allowed to keep it, then one of the requirements usually is that you keep it muzzled in a public place.
So it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter whether a dog is on a lead, whether they aren't on a lead. It's irrelevant. Only last year we had a lady who was, moving along with 8 dogs, a dog handler, 8 dogs. The dogs, were able to tear away. She wasn't able to control them and they killed her. You understand? So it's not acceptable. There was also a grandmother who was eaten alive by dogs in the house. Now, these are pets with their owners, not to mention absolute strangers. You couldn't convince me not to be concerned about a dog that's half my size or almost my size bounding towards me. I don't know your dog and your dog doesn't know me. So I don't have any, warm feelings about having your dog bound towards me. It's not okay. I remember back in the day, I went again off to go to the co-op. I had to go through some houses and I went over a green. And in the green, I could see 3 women in the distance, and they were really little, and they had 3 massive dogs. As soon as they spotted me, these 3 dogs came bounding towards me. You have to understand, I have been bitten by a dog before, so this is not cool. And even if I haven't, it's not okay to have your dog run towards me and charge. Maybe to come up on me and give me kisses and lick my face, which I don't want. That's fine, it's your dog, I don't want your dog. So I started screaming, and I said, excuse me? I started screaming into the distance. Can you get control of your dogs? Can you get control of your dogs? I was screaming on the top of my voice. And they all started running towards me to get their dogs. Why do I have to do that? So you say they have to be on leads, you say they have to be on leashes, and they don't bother. I do not know why anyone is even having a dangerous breed. I do not know why they're not on a lead. I do not know why they're not on a leash. Yes, but I don't even know why they should be a dangerous breed. Even if they are not a dangerous breed, they can flip, they can switch, and they can harm someone.
Well, yeah, I think all dogs are inherently dangerous. All it takes is, as you said, the wrong circumstance, the wrong situation for that dog to flip. I just wonder where the line is. Like, how many people does a dog have to kill or attack before it's considered dangerous?
Dogs who are not dangerous breeds have killed before and will kill again. There was a normal, dog who in a household, the mother had a baby, left the baby in the garden with the dog, went in for whatever reason. Before she could come out, the dog had grabbed the baby by the neck like a rag doll and killed the child. It was not a dangerous breed. And while You know, the government is busy discussing as to whether the dog is put down, was it a dangerous breed, running tests, and all of that long talk. An individual will be dead and gone. It's irrelevant. So while people aren't allowed to carry knives and guns, we have dog owners who are handling, you know, dangerous breed dogs and just parading them in the street and letting them run free. It's not okay. It really isn't okay. The last incident which I had, and it wasn't that long ago, my husband and I went walking and we went to this lake and it was beautiful. And after we finished, it was towards the end of the day, it was getting dark, so we couldn't stay there quite long. And we started heading out of the park. Now we left the lake and we're walking through this pathway, the different trails, it's so beautiful. And we see this man in the distance. And he has about 6 or 7 dogs. Couldn't quite tell because by now my heart started beating. And it's not because these dogs were just normal dogs. They were hounds. And you could see that he was staggering. He had a bent leg and he was having difficulty walking. And he had all these leashes in his hand and they were hounds. Some of them had muzzles on and some didn't. And one was not on a lead. That one was just wandering free. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, oh gosh, not again. And it was late. And you could see that he saw us in the distance and he holds himself back. And I'm thinking, okay, he's trying to control these dogs and he's talking to them. And you could see the tension and these dogs are, and it's like he's talking to them and he stopped in a pathway that was smaller instead of like coming through and then moving off to the side. So we were going to meet, you understand? And so we're walking and we're getting there and the conversation between my husband and I just died. And we're coming closer and you hear him. There's a lot of tension between him and his dogs and he's talking to them. Hey, no, sit, no, you stop. I'm telling you, stop. And oh my God. And he's staggering. And he can't even walk properly or stand right. If those dogs chose to tear away, he didn't stand a chance. He didn't stand a chance. But by God, my husband and I were safe. We got out of there and our story just went to the wind. We just stopped talking. It was scary. It was a moment. It was a moment. So no, I will always be worried about dogs, particularly as well because of their owners. You know, just the other afternoon, I went out walking with my family and this lady was in a mobility scooter. She was elderly. She had 2 dogs just running around and she was shouting from her seat, get back here, get back here. And I'm thinking, what's that going to do? What's that going to do? They're not on leads. And at the front of the park, it says, put all dogs on a leash. No one listens. I can confirm that dog owners do not pay attention. They don't care. Sometimes I start to wonder, is it intentional? Do they not understand that people are getting hurt? Do they not understand personal space? Anyway, you need to take care. You need to be watchful. While you might be bitten or ripped to shreds, or your loved one is bitten or ripped to shreds, the government's still discussing, you know, what happens to the dog afterwards. Will they be put down? Will there be a test and the other and the third? At the end of the day, there's damage, permanent damage that's done. And that's because, you know, people have chosen to be very reckless about the dogs that they own and abiding by the guidelines given, you know, for whatever dog that it is that they own. Stay safe out there, take care of yourself. There are more dog walkers who are inconsiderate than those that are. And I'll close by saying that there was once a dog walker who was coming out with her dog and my husband and I were going walking again and she just pulled off to the side and shortened the leash. I saw that and I remember thinking, oh, thank God for that. And she shortened the leash and she stood there and we walked by and she said morning and I said morning and we went by and we thought that was really nice. We need more of those. And there's no guarantee as to what can happen with these dogs when they are out and about, like we saw in the earlier video. If you have had any dangerous dog stories or any experience at all in this area, do leave a comment down below. Let me know what that was about. Let's talk about it. But until then, have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care. Bye.